Breaking news alert. Memphis police say they want you to help them find this suspect wanted for stealing guns from a vehicle in the 3000 block of Mill Branch Road. There he is, 6 shotguns, 2 rifles, a pellet gun, and a backpack containing several credit cards were taken. If you recognize this individual, call Crime Stoppers 901-528-CASH. New here. And we're digging into a lawsuit filed against the city of Memphis following the death of a man killed by a Memphis police officer.
The case centers on crisis intervention training, the first of its kind in the country, and the Memphis model for handling situations involving the mentally ill. WMC Action News 5's Sasha Jones reports.
January 11th, 2013.
What are you breaking into my house for?
67-year-old Donald Moore called Shelby County 911 to report a group of men breaking into his Cordova home.
Better hurry because somebody could get hurt.
There's panic in Moore's voice.
I got somebody shooting in my house.
And at 1 minute and 39 seconds into the call, gunfire.
I have seen you. I hear somebody shooting, and I don't know if you shot my animals or not.
Donald Moore, who police say pointed a gun at the man who stormed into his bedroom, was shot dead while talking to a 911 dispatcher. The strangers Moore feared when he called 911 were 10 Memphis police tact officers serving a search warrant. The reason? A neighbor complained Moore may not have been taking care of his rabbits and cats.
At that moment, the officer may not have had a choice, but there are many, many moments leading up to that moment.
Attorney Jeff Rosenblum represents the family of Donald Moore in a lawsuit against the city of Memphis. The suit claims that despite police records stating Moore had a disability and suffered from mental illness, MPD chose not to enlist the help of officers trained to deal with so-called mental consumers to serve the search warrant. Rosenblum says instead of a calming voice, Moore was met with flashbangs. And tact officer Philip Penny, armed with this M4 rifle.
There were comments made in this record that he was a mental consumer, and they knew that or should have known that before they sent the TAC unit.
MPD's TAC unit differs from the department's crisis intervention team. CIT officers are trained to offer a more humane and calm approach to encounters with mental consumers.
Let them know that you're there to help.
We spent time with Officer Christopher Ross, one of 285 Memphis CIT officers. MPD was the first police department in the country to train a mass number of officers on how to interact with those with mental illness.
Kind of delve into their mindset to figure out what they're going through, how they're going through it.
And these court documents say that a member of the crisis intervention team accompanied officers to Moore's home twice in the days leading up to his death to talk to him about his animals. They say Moore refused to open the door and called 911, told officers he was sick and wanted them to leave. They did. But on the day Moore was shot, court documents state CIT officers were not asked to intervene. Instead, Memphis police sent an unmarked armored truck with 10 members of the TAC unit.
Do you know why the decision would have been made not to send a CIT officer?
No, and I can't talk about that case, but I will say that CIT officers, we're not going to know every time there's a mental consumer or whatever. So we rely on, family members. We rely on people in the neighborhood. We rely on homes being flagged so that we will know to go. So it's hard to say why anything would happen other than that.
According to Beasley, when a CIT officer is called to a scene, that officer takes control. Whether or not the CIT officer's presence would have changed the outcome of Donald Moore's encounter is unknown. But records do show that even when CIT officers are on site, they're not always in charge.
I miss my brother. I miss him after all these years.
In 2003, Calvin Buckley's brother, Denvy, a military veteran on medication to treat schizophrenia, died from a heart attack after 3 Memphis police officers beat him with batons.
He's laying there dead. He's got gashes in his head. It was hard for me to digest that he was gone that quick, and he's not a criminal. He's a veteran.
Court Court records show officers were called to Buckley's home during an apparent suicide attempt. Documents state Buckley became agitated at the sight of several uniformed officers converging. When he attempted to return inside, officers forcibly restrained him, using their batons to hit Buckley's head, neck, and torso.
Knocked him to the porch, and just all we saw was the black sticks just going up and down.
Records say after Buckley was down on the ground, a baton was placed across his neck. Soon after, he stopped breathing.
He's trying to commit suicide. Why beat him?
One of the officers wielding a baton that day was Philip Penny, the same officer who shot and killed Donald Moore 10 years later. A look inside Penny's personnel file shows an internal investigation in which Penny acknowledged officers rushed the situation, causing Mr. Buckley to panic or become afraid, and that a CIT officer was on scene but was not allowed to take control of the situation. Penny was fired, along with 2 other officers for using excessive force against Buckley. He sued to get his job back and returned to the force in 2007.
That Memphis condoned that violence to get him back after what he's done.
Calvin Buckley believes his brother would still be alive if Memphis police had allowed the crisis intervention team to be in charge that day, something the Moore family is now trying to prove in their own case 10 years later.
It's fine to train, but where are we implementing that training?
In Memphis, Sasha Jones, WMC Action News 5.
The Buckleys settled their own lawsuit against Memphis police. As for the Moore's case, a judge decided the case must be based on segmentation, a legal term in this case referencing the moment Officer Penny fired the shot that killed Donald Moore and not the circumstances leading up to the shooting. The family hopes by pursuing their case, the law is changed to acknowledge every decision made up until the point lethal force is used. Our request to speak with Officer Philip Penny was denied by a Memphis police spokesperson. Major Vincent Beasley defends the CIT program and credits training with lowering the injury rate of both officers and those who suffer from mental illness.
Let's take a look at the 7-day temperature trend. Now, we're going to be back in the mid-90s tomorrow, but look at this, only 90 Wednesday, and then